In this video, we're talking about interpreting the parameters of a linear function that models a real-world situation. Okay, so we've got a problem here that says Carmen is putting money into a checking account. Let Y represent the total amount of money in the account in dollars, and let X represent the number of weeks Carmen has been adding money. Suppose that X and Y are related by the equation Y is equal to 20X plus 350. Okay, so the first question we're asked is, what was the starting amount of money in the account? Okay, so we got this equation right here. Remember, Y represents the amount of money, X represents the number of weeks. So if they're asking what was the starting amount of money, how many weeks had passed at the start? Well, no weeks had passed, right? Because it's at the beginning. So if no weeks passed, that's X equals 0, right? For weeks. So if we want to figure out how much money was in there at the start, then we plug in that 0. Y is equal to 20 times 0 plus 350. Okay. Now, 20 times 0 is 0, so Y is equal to 350. So the answer to that is $350. Okay. The next question says, what is the change per week in the amount of money in the account? Okay. So the change per week is going to be your slope. Okay. It's going to be this number in front of X, but I'll show you why. Okay. So let's plug in two different numbers. Let's say I want to know the difference between X equals 1, that's it after 1 week, and X equals 2. And let's see what we get for the difference each week. Okay, so we plug in X equals 1. We get Y is equal to 20 times 1 plus 350. Okay, so 20 times 1 is 20. Add these together, you get 370. So that's $370 after the first week. Okay, now if we plug in and go to week 2, so Y is equal to 20 times 2 plus 350. So 20 times 2 is 40, and 40 plus 350 is 390. So Y equals 390. Okay, and it says what's the change per week? So we went from, and we can even use this one where we plugged in 0 too. At week 0 we were 350 and it went up to 370. From week 1 to week 2 it went up from 370 to 390. So you can see that it's increasing by how much each week. So we add 20 to this, we get 370. We add 20 to this, we get 390. So the amount that it's increasing each week is this number in front of the X, which is your slope. So our answer to that is $20. Okay, let's look at the next one. So we've got a construction crew is lengthening a road. Let Y represent the total length of the road in miles, and let X represent the number of days that the crew has worked. Suppose that X and Y are related by the equation Y is equal to 59 plus 3X. Okay, so the first question is, what was the road's length when the crew started working? So this is very similar to our last question. When they started working, that's when 0 days had passed, okay, because it's the very beginning. Okay, so let X equal 0. Okay, so plug that in and you get Y is equal to 59 plus 3 times 0. Okay, so 3 times 0 is 0. So your answer is 59 miles. So at the very beginning, they already had 59 miles. Okay, and then it says, what is the change per day in the road's length? Again, this is going to be the slope, which is the number in front of X. So we know the answer is going to be 3 because of the number in front of X. But if you want to confirm that, we could just plug in X equals 1 and see what the difference is between those. So we plug in X equals 1, and we get Y is equal to 59 plus 3 times 1. Okay, so this is after 1 day had passed. Okay, and that's 59 plus 3, which is 62. So what's the difference between 59, where we started, and 62? Well, the answer is 3. It's our slope. Okay, now let's look at this last one. Tony is driving to Boston. Let Y represent his distance from Boston in miles. Let X represent the time he has been driving in hours. Suppose that X and Y are related by the equation Y is equal to 325 minus 65X. What was Tony's distance from Boston when he began his drive? So at the beginning, again, at the beginning, you have X equals 0. Okay, so that, how many hours has he been driving? Well, at the beginning of his drive, he's been driving 0 hours. Okay, so if we say Y is equal to 325 minus 65 times 0, okay, so 65 times 0 is 0, so your answer is 325. So it's your y-intercept, or this number right here. Okay. What is the change in Tony's distance from Boston for each hour he drives? Okay, so we know from the two previous examples, it's this number in front of x, which is negative 65. Okay, but we can just plug in x equals 1 to confirm. So we get y is equal to 325 minus 65 times 1. Okay, and that will give us 260. Okay, now if you look at the difference between at 0 hours and at 1 hour, 325 minus 260 is negative 65. Okay, so what is the change in Tony's distance from each time he drives? It's 65 miles. Okay, and since it says distance, we're going to leave that as positive because distance cannot be negative.